Hi, Daniela Genus back with lesson of the day. Every Tuesday and Thursday morning, I share a lesson with you focused on business, personal development, and all things enterprise and entrepreneurship. If this is the first time that you've tuned in, please be sure to go and watch the repeats or playbacks or whatever you want to call them on either IGTV or on YouTube. I believe that I think there's about 40 or so lessons of the day in there, covering a vast range of topics and subject areas, all with the aim of inspiring, empowering, educating, informing you to be a better business person. So today's session, the month of July, I've been speaking specifically about the 9 most significant lessons that I've learned on my entrepreneurial journey. And I suppose more relating specifically to the early phase of my journey, when I started my first business, and kind of the lessons that I learned through that period of growing that business to 6 figures, several members of staff, and then being forced to sell it. So a lot of the lessons are centered around that, and then also my journey from selling it to then launching She's the Boss and how I've managed to grow that. And today's lesson specifically is about the power of the personal brand. So how does that relate to my story specifically? So when I ran my first business, I would say that I kind of built an accidental brand initially. And personal brand really is, I suppose, you kind of like your social currency, your social capital, and kind of the brand that is built around you as the individual, as the owner or the founder of the business. And when I was running the first business, I didn't necessarily have a plan for building a personal brand. It kind of just happened organically. So I recognized that because the business grew at quite a rapid pace, and also because we were doing some quite significant work within the community. It was a social enterprise, so we were working with a lot of young people. I was able to secure funding from a variety of different funding streams, and in some cases quite large and substantial amounts of funding, in addition to me securing sponsorship from some fairly big brands. I've mentioned previously about HMV, Subway, Haribo, Coca-Cola, etc. So interest was being created around the business, and as the leader of the business, subsequently interest was being created around me. So what started to happen is people started to ask me to come and speak at events, to sit on panels, and I started to get paid for it. It was really exciting. I remember the first time I was asked to sit on a panel, and it was for, it's funny, when I started the business, the first business, I had been on a business startup program, and that same business startup program paid me to come back some years later to be a panelist to help pick the next cohort of business owners. And I remember they paid me it's like £300 for maybe 2 hours of work, and I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, I've made it. I'm getting paid to sit and do something that I would do for free, and I really enjoyed it. And then the speaking engagement started to come in. It was really good it's not really good, it was beneficial that I had done quite a bit of kind of public speaking, both in university and prior to university. In my first job, was it was at an organisation called Build Mentor Agency in Nottingham, which is where I'm originally from. And the leader of that, Lyndon Gibson, he knew I was painfully shy, so he would take me to different kind of events and stuff across the country, and he would tell them that I was going to speak, and they would just call me up on stage to speak. And that's how I kind of got over my fear of public speaking. And honestly, I cannot be more grateful to him for that, because then it meant when I started to then get people asking to come and speak about how I started the business and kind of my background, etc., I was able to speak quite confidently about it. And I wasn't super confident immediately, because it was a different audience. When I'd been working for Build and doing a lot of the speaking, it was often for young people. Once I was being asked to speak as Daniela, as the founder of Aspire For You, it was a lot of business people. So it was a different audience. So it did take me some time to kind of get into the swing of it. But I would say I was pretty good at public speaking. And then the more I did, the more people would ask. So I did some really interesting speaking engagements and some stuff that I don't even, there was a period of time where pretty much every couple of weeks I was at a different event speaking. Morning Win with Rav, morning In Our Business, morning Lenzai, Bella Buttes, Blossom Ladies Brunch, Nay Morris, morning, Nick Ford. So I remember speaking at an event with Jermaine Greer, who's quite a big, well-known author. I think she's an author and feminist. I remember, and that was for Talent 4. I remember speaking at the Barclays Bank in London. I remember speaking at what they called, just loads of places anyway, and some really quite reputable places that I was quite excited. Deloitte, I remember speaking at Deloitte for an event. That was the one I was trying to think of. And I think what was interesting was I didn't necessarily have a specific strategy. It just happened. People asked. And then once I started to realize that when I do these speaking engagements, then people are inquiring about the business, and it was helping to spread the word of the business, I then started to be a little bit more intentional. So one of the things that I did is I hired a PR agency to help with putting together press releases. I had been distributing press releases at one point and realized I wasn't really getting any traction because I didn't have any relationships with journalists. So I found a specific PR agency who did have relationships with journalists, and on the back of that I was featured on BBC I don't remember which one, Central News and Midlands Today on 2 separate occasions, and that was as a direct consequence of the PR agency. So it was, I would say it was a worthwhile investment, but because I didn't necessarily have a specific, and I've spoke about this quite clearly, the mistakes that I made with the first business, I didn't have clear strategies. So the personal brand and the PR stuff didn't necessarily link very well with the strategy of the business, or getting more clients for the business specifically, because there was no clear strategy. Good day, actually, one of my weakest points, public speaking. I think for every entrepreneur, you really need to get with this public speaking thing. Unless you're running a business that you don't want anybody to know that you run the business, because I know some people don't want to be attached to the business brand. If there's any story behind you starting your brand, and if you want to, I suppose, promote yourself as the founder of the brand, it's really important that you overcome any fears that you have of public speaking, because you're going to miss out on so many opportunities. Morning Bella Buttes, who said good morning beautiful people. So yeah, I'm going to kind of jump forward and backwards during this talk, by the way. So I was doing these speaking engagements, but really, again, a lot of the time they weren't necessarily to the audiences that would have helped propel the brand, the business brand, but it was doing a lot for my own social currency and my social capital. And then what started to also happen is then I started to win awards, and I provide support now to people around personal branding, not as a standalone kind of service, but I advise on personal brand strategy as part of my general coaching. And one of the things that I regularly say to my clients is to look at awards that you can be nominated for, get people to nominate you for. But that wasn't a strategy that I employed in those days. People were nominating me for awards, and to this day, some of the biggest award that I won, which was BYP, Birmingham Young Professional of the Year, entrepreneurial category winner, I still to this day don't know who nominated me, but I definitely recognized that once I started to win awards, the requests for speaking engagements went all the way up. So it had a really positive impact, again, on my personal brand, and also media features, because with each award that I won, I think over the period of about 2 years, I won about 5 awards. And during that period, I was featured in The Voice, in the Birmingham Post, in the Birmingham Mail, in loads of online publications. And I was kind of living the dream at that point. And I felt like, okay, this is working for me. And I was getting paid to do a lot of the features and the speaking engagements, etc. So it was really working quite successfully. But as I said, because it didn't link to a strategy in relation to the business, it wasn't necessarily having that positive of an impact on the revenues for the business brand. So everybody knew about it. Everybody knew about what we did because I was walking around and telling everyone everywhere. But it wasn't translating into growth of the business from a financial perspective. And actually, really, when you're looking at kind of PR and personal brand strategy, it's not necessarily always going to translate to more sales. But actually, if you're strategic about it, it can. If you identify the kind of your key target customer, your key target audiences, and you are specific in making sure that you're speaking at events where those people are at, that you're being featured in the press and in the media, that those people engage with, that those people read, then it can have a positive impact on sales. But so I've got somebody that I'm having to hide in the comments telling me what I look like. So you need to be intentional about it, and that was where I kind of made a big mistake, is that I wasn't intentional. It was all accidental and kind of circumstantial, really. And in hindsight, there are specific key mistakes that I think that I made. Yeah, a troll. Although it was a nice troll, because he told me that I look cute. But I'm trying to talk. I'm not trying to be told that I look cute. And yeah, so one particular incident. So the BYPY award that I said I won, huge event, like over 1,000 people at the ICC in Birmingham. Really big event, sponsored by some really big brands. The host at the time was from, I don't know, if it was from the TV somewhere. So there was quite, like, it was an important and a big deal. And when I won that award, there was a variety of different categories, and they took a picture. And this is where I really started to, well, it was after that I really started to acknowledge and recognize how important it is to be intentional about what you're doing from a personal brand perspective. I won the award. They took a picture of us, all of the award winners, and I think there was 12 of us in total, and I was the only woman of all of the 12. All of the 11 were males, and of those 11, one of them was Asian and the rest of them were white. And they were all in, like, obviously they're men, they were in black suits, white shirt, and I was there in this purple, like, gown with this big hair. I had this, like, big natural hairstyle, which afterwards many people started doing the same hairstyle, but I'm not bitter. And the picture, I thought, was really powerful, because there's just this one woman, this one black woman, and all this sea of white faces, essentially male faces. And I really expected and was waiting for this media frenzy around that picture, because as far as I was concerned, this was something that was really kind of newsworthy. Like, this one sole woman is here, and look what she's done in comparison. Well, not in comparison, but like, I stand out amongst the sea of white faces, essentially. And nobody mentioned it. Nobody did any stories about it. Nobody spoke to me about it. And it's funny, because after that award, I was featured in the Birmingham Post, in the Birmingham Mail, in the 24/7 magazine in Birmingham, quite a few different magazines in Birmingham. And nobody mentioned, even though the picture was in all of these publications, nobody mentioned the fact that here's this lone woman. And I remember being really irritated about it. And I tweeted, I think I tweeted the Birmingham Post, and one of the journalists got really arsey with me and was like, why do you have to make it about colour? It was a woman as well. Why do you have to make it about gender? And I was just like, because it's a big deal. Like, look at the picture. And then she said, and this is what got me, she said, did you make it a big deal? Did you send a press release talking about the fact that you were a sole woman that won this award, or you was a sole black person that won the award? And I was like, actually, I didn't. I just won the award and waited for people to come to me. So one of the things that I've been very, very specific about with my clients, and there's one client in particular, True Power, who we did a personal brand strategy with, I don't know, I'm saying we. I did a personal brand strategy with him about, I think it was about big end of 2018, start of 2019. And for him, one of the key things that I said to him is he needed to get over his fear of public speaking, because he didn't like public speaking. So we worked on that. But also to kind of get into this award space. But then once you win the award, don't just win an award and wait for the publicity to come from it. So I'm going to give you a bit of a tip here for you to keep in mind. If you get nominated for an award, write a press release about being nominated for the award. Then write a press release about winning the award, and write a press release about not winning the award. Identify... I'm going to come to the comments in a second. Identify the publications that you want to be featured in. Get the contact details of the journalists that write for those publications, particularly if you're in business, find the business editor or whatever, and send them the press release at the point that you are nominated to say you've been nominated. and create a story around it, because it can't just be you've been nominated, so what? Like, talk. So for example, with the BYPY award, what I should have done is written a press release about the fact that I'm a social enterprise and I'm up against all of these commercial business owners, and therefore that in itself was a big deal. Even in my category, I think there was 3 of us in the category, and I was, again, the only woman. So I should have done that and sent it to the journalists beforehand, and then had the press releases prepped so that when I won, or if I'd lost, I could send that press release out again. And you might say, well, why would you send a press release to say that you lost? It's about engaging with the journalists. So the press release would be, they were nominated, I was shortlisted, got to the final, unfortunately didn't win, but because of the press around it, this is what we're going to do, blah, blah, blah. Or, I've won, how amazing is it? And I think it's important to write those before it happens, because when it happens, in the melee of everything that's going on and the excitement, you're not really going to be in a frame of mind to do it. So get it done beforehand and have 2 versions, and whether you win or you lose, send out that version. And if you've built up, this man talking on the phone next to me. If you've built up, if you already started kind of trying to build relationship with journalists, then they'll see your email, hopefully, and potentially they'll run with it. And that's the mistake that I made. But with True didn't make that mistake. So I can't remember what the first award that we put him in for, but we made sure that there was a press release beforehand and there was press releases after. And that really had a positive impact, because then he put the press releases out, and the press releases, in fact, I can't remember which publication it was, but I remember I was crafting one of the press releases, and it was from Inner City Statistic to award winner or something like that, and quite a few publications picked it up. So I'm not professing to be a PR specialist. I'm not even professing to be a personal brand specialist either. But some of the techniques that I've used have worked. So let me go back to the comments. Yes, so important to nominate people for awards. Yes, Lenzi. It really is. But also, yeah, once you get nominated, make sure you and this is something, at the moment, you may have seen I've been nominated for an award. Thank you. The MBCC Awards. And I'm going to be honest, and I put this on my my status, on my stories, on my feed yesterday. I considered withdrawing, because I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to get people to vote for me. And the idea of asking people to vote for me was really stressing me out. And my coach was like, Daniela, you're being ridiculous now. Like, you tell your clients to do this stuff, so why are you saying you're not going to do it? And actually, it's a good opportunity to promote the work that you've been doing and the impact that you've been having. So I didn't withdraw, but it did cross my mind heavily. But also, again, I'm rebuilding a personal brand now, and I'm going to get to that bit in a second. Therefore, I need to do things and to be seen to be participating in things that are going to help raise my social profile again. The same as entering high profile competitions. Yeah, and particularly for like you, Lens, I know, and for other photographers, there's lots of photography competitions that you can enter. So look at kind of industry awards, industry competitions, because it can help to boost your profile and also give you credibility. And not every award. So one thing that I will not do, I do not pay to enter awards, and different people have different opinions on this. But if I have to pay to enter an award, then that means it's not necessarily, it's not necessarily something that's particularly reputable. It looks like it's a money-making scheme for the people that have put together the awards. So also look at, if you're nominating yourself, which some people are really uncomfortable with that. I don't think there's a problem in doing that. If you think you've done well in an area, nominate yourself. And if you don't want to nominate yourself, ask somebody to do it for you. So I nominate my clients for awards, because why not? But if you're going to do that, make sure that you look at who's the judge, who is on the judging panel, what are the credentials of the people that are putting together the awards. If it's just a money-making scheme, steer clear. When you hear them saying it's a £999 for an entry, don't do that. Like, they're just trying to make money. But if it's a good award, so like when I won BYP, there was also another one, Inspire Young Entrepreneur of the Year Awards, which was Trinity Mirror Midlands. I don't know, the people that do the Birmingham Post, they did an awards ceremony which I won. So it's reputable individuals and organisations. So then when you're able to say, even if you don't win, you can say shortlisted or nominated for, and people are fickle. So from they see you associated with, it's about kind of brand building, brand leverage. If you're associated with a reputable organization brand award, it gives you more social currency. Lensive, yes, very powerful. I got the tea morning, yes, very powerful. I assume you mean the Me, One Woman and all these guys. Yeah, I thought it was, and to this day I kick myself for not doing more, but I also still am slightly annoyed with the journalists, because I just feel like, can you not see this? Nick Ford said, so you say you should have a personal brand strategy as well as a business marketing strategy? Yes, for sure. And try to link the two. So your personal brand strategy really should be a part of your overall business and marketing strategy. And your business and marketing strategy, well, your marketing strategy should be part of the overall business strategy and the vision, so that everything kind of is knitted together. So you're not over here going off on this tangent with your personal brand strategy, and then your business and marketing strategy is going in a different direction. The two things need to be entwined. So there's no point me being out here saying, and I'm going to come to this in a minute, I'm building up this personal brand strategy talking about women in business all the time, but then my business strategy is focused on working with men. Like, it's not congruent, because then for my personal brand strategy I'm going to be speaking at loads of female-led events, but in business I'm not trying to get loads of females, I'm trying to get loads of men. That's just an example, it's not the truth. I work with men and women, but it's just an example. The two things need to be working together in unison. Here comes our invisibility. Yeah, like, I don't know how anybody looked at that picture and didn't work out that that was something of interest, but I'm not bitter, I promise. Just a little bit. No, I'm not a journalist. Yeah, the journalist, to be fair, was just a bit ignorant, but she did make a valid point. True didn't like public speaking. No, he hated it. Like, he absolutely, utterly hated it. And this is the power of building a strong personal brand. When you do it well, nobody will, well, apart from me talking about it, if you do it well, you create your own personal brand. So one of the key things that I've done with many of my clients, including True, is really looking at, okay, doing a kind of strengths and weaknesses analysis. So if you're not very good at speaking, we need to get speaking training. You need to build up your speaking engagements. With True, what we did is, and I did it with myself, I call it immersion. It's the same thing I did with these lessons of the day, which I started last September. I didn't like doing live videos, so I just did it every day for a month until I got used to it. With True, same thing. He didn't like speaking engagements, so we signed him up to a load of speaking engagements. So he had to work it out. And what happens is, the more you do something, the more you get familiar and comfortable with it, and it becomes less of an issue. The line that I used to say is, are you going to die? Like, it might feel very uncomfortable, you might be nervous, you might even fluff what you're saying, but did you die though? So if you made it through, then you can do it again. And you learn from the mistakes that you make the first few times that you do it. You refine, you get better, you improve. And that's really important. So identify your weaknesses, but also identify your strengths. So if you know that you're very good, for example, at photography, then make sure you know everything that there is to know about photography, but find your topics. Like, what are the key topics that you want to be known for? So for me, I like talking about vision. I like talking about innovation. I like talking about my personal entrepreneurial journey. I like talking about systems and processes, and learn those topics. And I'm not going to give you all of my goods, because you have to hire me for that. But that's one key piece of advice. Learn your topics. So now, if you ask me at the drop of a hat, if I'm outside my daughter's school camp, if they said, come in here and talk for 20 minutes about systems and processes, I can. If they say, come in and talk for 20 minutes about vision, I can. And that's happened. Like, I've been at places and they said, oh, do you want to get up and speak? Okay. Because I've learnt my topics. So there's not really any situation that I could be in that someone asked me to speak about any of my topics that I'm not able to do. And the same applies for True. One of my other clients, Dean, I remember Dean, terrified of public speaking, hated it. Like, even if I would mention the terms public speaking, he'd be like, just don't talk about it, I don't want to talk about it. And I gave him some techniques, and I remember being so, like, cracking up, because he went to deliver a presentation to a client thinking that it was just going to be him and the client, and he got there and the client had hired out this whole like auditorium, got a presentation screen, and gave him a podium and told him to present to the whole business. And then he said he remembered thinking Daniela's a witch, because I had said to him, you keep saying you don't like this public speaking, and yeah, you might not go and do a speaking engagement, but you never know when you're going to be in a situation where you have to talk to a group of people. So here are the techniques, this is what you need to do, And remember that. And it was literally like within a week or two that he was then put in that situation, and he said he remembered the things that I told him and did it and managed to get through, and he didn't die. So the public speaking thing is serious. Like, you need to make sure, that's one thing that if you're trying to build any sort of personal brand, you have to overcome that fear of public speaking. Tiana says, reminds me to do one for my MBCC nomination too. Oh, you've been nominated. I need to go and nominate some people. Love this. Be your own advocate. Be loud and proud about every part of your journey and accomplishments. Well, yeah, I think loads of people don't do that. And even as I said, sometimes I have a crisis of confidence, like with the MBCCs. I'm like, oh my God, who is going to vote for me? This is so awkward. But I've reckoned with the fact that whether I win or I lose, the fact that I was nominated, thank you, was a great thing. And yeah, I'm proud of that, even in and of itself. So moving forward, and why this personal brand thing is one of the most significant lessons learned on the entrepreneurial journey is I sold my business in 2015. I sold it, and not only did I sell it, I sold it and kind of just dropped off the face of the planet. I had my daughter, so I had my daughter in July, sold the business in August, and then started my MBA in September, and just stopped going out. I didn't go anywhere. I didn't do any speaking engagements. I wasn't running a business at the time. So I would say I kind of faded into relative obscurity. And then 2017, kind of end of 2017, start of 2018, I kind of re-emerged. I'm going to start a new business. I started a contract with Innovate UK as a senior business growth advisor, and kind of tried to reintroduce myself back into the business scene, particularly in Birmingham. And I felt for a minute like, oh my gosh, nobody's going to remember who I am. No one's going to know who I am. I've been away for too long. But actually, what happened was, because of the fact that I built such a strong foundation with my social brand before, as I said, albeit kind of accidentally, once I kind of re-emerged, people started hiring me again. So people, the value that I'd created kind of in those first, what was it, 8 years? Yeah, those first 8 years whilst I was running Aspire for You, it kind of carried through. So whilst I have had to do kind of some rebuilding, and I would say, I kept saying before I had to rebuild from scratch. It really wasn't from scratch, because I did still have some social currency and social capital left. I remember in, I'm sure it was 2017, I went to 10 Downing Street as part of a delegation from Birmingham to talk about small business, the barriers for small businesses. And that was on the basis that I had connected with people from previously who remembered me and said, do you want to come? So this is why it's really, really important to build your kind of personal brand, because actually, even if your business doesn't continue, if you then want to go into a different direction, if you've got a strong personal brand, it will carry through to whatever new thing that you do. And that's really important. So again, it's really important that you kind of build your personal brand around your values, and make sure that you live those values. Because if I'd been running that first business and talking, but I don't know, being quite contradictory in what I said, and then came out now and I hadn't been running businesses properly, if I'd been kind of, I don't know what I could have been doing, and getting caught in the streets drunk and I don't know, just being wild in my behaviour and not really cultivating that personal brand from a professional perspective, I don't think that the social currency, or whatever you want to call it, would have carried through, which it kind of did. So I would say I didn't necessarily have to start from scratch. I'd say probably I had to start from about 40% and build back. But that 40% was good enough to help. And also because of the people that I had connected with, like universities, for example, that then opened new doors. So I'd always been very active in working with my previous university, Birmingham City University, and also with Aston Business School. So they would ask me to do speaking engagements. Goldman Sachs, I did the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program. They asked me, once I'd kind of again re-emerged, they asked me to do speaking engagements. I've been doing a lot of speaking engagements even recently for Birmingham City University. And again, it's because I also maintained relationships, and that's quite important with a personal brand strategy. Maintain relationships no matter what you're doing. Even if you decide to change direction and change lanes, you need to make sure that you maintain your relationship. I'm not the best at it, to be honest, but I've been able to maintain key relationships over the years that have then helped to kind of build me back, if that makes sense. And then what I've also done differently this time around is I've been a lot more strategic. So I know what I'm trying to do with the business. So for example, the full name of She's the Boss is actually She's the Boss International, and I was intentional with that because I want the business to be an international business. As a consequence, what I've been doing with kind of my personal brand strategy is looking at international speaking opportunities. So this year alone, I've spoken at the Islandpreneur online event in St. Martin. I spoke at, I did a masterclass with Africana woman in Namibia. I've been on podcasts last week and the week before. I had a podcast release that I recorded with Risepreneurs in California, with the Charity Charge podcast in Texas. So I've really been looking at kind of building international relationships and featuring in international spaces, so that I can then start to look at building and developing relationships with individuals to then get clients in those places, but also so I can get flown out. Because really that's the aim. I really want to be able to get flown out, and I hope I can even fly out, because I don't know what's going on with this COVID thing, to do speaking engagements internationally. So I've been very intentional this time around about how I'm building my personal brand and also the key areas. So a strategic decision that I've made recently, looking at the business and saying, okay, what am I really trying to be known for? I do the She's the Boss female entrepreneur stories. When I first started the business, I did want to focus on women and working with women only. But as the business developed, as I've developed as an entrepreneur and kind of looking at the things that I want to do, I actually want to work with both male and female entrepreneurs. So I'm going to be stopping doing the female entrepreneur stories series pretty soon. I think I'm going to do another 3 or 4. I want to get to 100. I think we're on 97 actually at the moment. And then I'm going to stop, and I'm going to relaunch and focus on a new podcast where I interview men and women around the areas that I want to be known for. So the Visa model: vision, innovation, strategy, systems and processes, and accountability. And that's because I'm looking at the business strategy and then how it relates to my personal brand strategy, and me as kind of an individual separate from She's the Boss, an individual, Daniela Ginos, who likes to do interviews and using kind of a podcast or a YouTube series as a way of building up my personal brand reputation, but also building the reputation of the business. In order for me to do that effectively, it doesn't make sense for me to only interview women, because I'm not just trying to target women. It also doesn't necessarily work in my favor to only talk about women's journeys when really it doesn't relate to what I want to be known for or what my business does, which is coaching, consultancy, training, etc. Therefore, the conversations I need to be having need to be around those areas. So think about the kind of, if I'm going to recap, think about how you're building your social currency. What do you want to be known for? What are the kind of key weaknesses that are going to kind of hold you back building a personal brand, and how do you strengthen them? If you are scared of public speaking, how do you overcome that? Are there awards that you need to be getting nominated for? Are there areas that you need to be showing up in? One of my challenges has always been networking. So it's funny, because prior to lockdown, one of the key decisions that I made was, okay, I need to be more present in these networking spaces, even though I don't like it. But I made that decision like probably what year did, so it was the end of 2019. And between kind of January to March 2020, I was out and about, and then COVID hit, and yeah, I didn't have to do it anymore. But what then happened is I realized I'm quite good at online networking. So I've been showing up in many different spaces. I've been building relationships in WhatsApp communities. Shout out to the Dope Black community, because I've built some really, really strong friendships actually, because I've been part of those groups. And I realized it's not necessarily networking, and I've said this for a few years actually, it's not necessarily networking that I don't like. I don't like going into spaces where I don't feel that I can necessarily, the people don't vibe with me, let's just put it that way. But actually, in the spaces that I've been networking in online, I feel comfortable in these spaces, and actually if we were to move them to an offline setting, I probably would still feel comfortable. But I also am a believer, as I always say, feel the fear and lean into it. So that's why even once this whole thing kind of blows over, which we hope it does, I will be still taking myself into spaces that maybe I don't necessarily feel comfortable, but I need to be in order to build up my personal brand and the brand and awareness of the business in specific communities and areas that maybe I don't necessarily have easy access to. And that's it. That's pretty much why I feel like personal brands are powerful. They helped me with building my first business. It's helped me with building this second business. It's helped the clients that I've worked with build up their own reputations and build up their own businesses and be able to change lanes and shift gears based on the social currency and capital that they've been able to build through following the advice, the strategies, the hints and tips that I've kind of provided. So I hope that you're able to do the same. And one of the things that I would say as a takeaway for this is go and write 3 things that you're going to do between now and the end of the year to help build your personal brand. So it could be that you're going to go and do some public speaking training. Could be that you're going to nominate yourself for an award or get somebody to nominate you for an award. It could be that you're going to start writing a blog, or it could be that you want to feature in an international podcast or on an international event lineup. Whatever it is, pick 3 things and commit to doing them between now and the end of the year to help build your personal brand. If anyone's got any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment box. I'm going to be rounding up now, but I'm happy to answer any questions. Tiana says, I go to a lot of photography events and shows. It definitely helps. Yeah, because people need to see your face. And the more people see your face and hear what you've got to say in regards to you and your business, the more people are going to start to identify you with that industry, with that area of knowledge or expertise. And therefore, when somebody's looking for a photographer, for example, they're going to think of Tiana. If they're thinking of a specific type of photographer, they're going to think of you. And that's really what's important. So start to think about the spaces that you need to be showing up in, the people that you need to be talking to, and the things that you need to be talking about. And I think that's really key. You don't also want, so for me, one of the things that I do talk about, just by virtue of being a black woman, I speak about race. However, it's not something that I want to be known for speaking about. So therefore, I pick and choose. I'm very specific about the things that I will say yes to and the things that I will say no to. I'm a black woman, so race is always going to impact me, and it's always going to be something that I'm going to talk about. But do I want to be rolled out to speak about it on a regular basis? Not really, because that's not the personal brand that I'm trying to build. The personal brand I'm trying to build is as being an expert on business growth, business strategy and innovation. Therefore, they're the things that I will seek out to speak about, and I will speak about on a regular basis. It doesn't mean I'll say no to everything. So I spoke the other week on a panel about Black History Month, and I enjoyed it. And I think, a couple of weeks before that, I spoke about it was on, I don't remember. I've been doing a lot of speaking lately. I forgot. It was something to do with race anyway, which is then what led me to speak on the Black History one. But that's it for now. I'm not going to be doing anything else on that for a little while, because I'm not trying to, that's not the lane that I'm trying to go into. I spoke at those events because it's something that I'm genuinely passionate about and feel like I could add value, but that's not the direction I'm trying to go in. So be careful that you don't get pulled in directions that you don't want to be in, just from an excitement perspective of, oh, I can speak about this, or somebody wants to hear what I've got to say. It's not everything that it needs to be for you. If it doesn't align with the personal brand strategy, with the business strategy, then don't get typecast, for want of a better phrase. And that's it for today. I hope that you've enjoyed this lesson of the day. It's a bit longer. I need to stop talking so much. Once I get into it, I get carried away with myself. But I hope you found that useful. And a few things, if you are interested in getting supported by me, She's the Boss, I have a group program that is going to be launching in August. Sprint for Growth. This is going to be the 3rd cohort of Sprint for Growth. It's a group program. It's 6 weeks, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Throughout August and part of September. In a group setting, I'll be working with you to help you hit your goals, to achieve business growth in those 6 weeks, by sharing how kind of the key growth success factors, setting you challenges every week that you have to accomplish. And I love Sprint for Growth. Everyone that's been on Sprint for Growth loves it. We normally build up a really good rapport. People become friends, but it really forces you outside of your comfort zone. So there's information for Sprint for Growth on the website. Check it out, www.shesthebossintl. If you want to have a quick acceleration of growth in your business in a group setting. And I just want to make it clear, I never used to believe in group coaching program. I thought it was weird. Like I want one-to-one advice and guidance. But actually I've done a few group programs myself, and I've led group programs, and there's really benefit in that group accountability. And also hearing from different perspectives and people that are at different stages of their journey. You can add, you can take away, and I find it quite uplifting. So if you're interested in Sprint for Growth, visit the website or email bookings@shesthebossintl.com. Also remember, next month, August the 20th, I'm running my masterclass, Build My Business. If you want to build a stronger business that is not reliant on you, if you want to learn about how to map systems and processes effectively, if you want to know about how to build a strong, robust, sustainable business, half-day masterclass. Early bird tickets are being sold up until the last day of July for $299.99. After the 1st of August, it's going to be $349.99. If you want to sign up for that, email bookings@shesthebossintl.com. I have currently closed my one-to-one coaching until September, the end of September, because I'm fully booked. But if you want to sign up for post-September, book in a one-to-one exploration call, and we can discuss your requirements, and you can kind of be added to the list to start the end of September if you really want to make a difference in your business and in yourself. So with my one-to-one coaching, Guide My Journey, and also my accountability program, My Biz Buddy, we can cover personal brand strategy. My results speak for themselves. Go and look at some of the clients that I've worked with. There's loads of clients that have written glowing testimonials and recorded videos about the work that we've done. So if you want some of those impacts in your business and in your life, visit the website www.shesthebossintl.com and book an exploration call. And I think that's all that I have to say today. Oh, also, if you haven't got your merchandise, visit I Got the Tea on Instagram and get your t-shirts, your hoodies, and your sweaters. And I think that's it. Catch me next Tuesday. It's Thursday, so yeah. Catch me next Tuesday. I'm going to be talking about rebuilding rebuilding starting with the end in mind. So I'm going to be discussing how I rebuilt after selling my business and going through the wilderness for a couple of years. So tune in next Tuesday at probably 8:45 whilst it's the summer holidays. And I'm probably going to be taking a break in August. So yeah, I think I'm going to take a break. I don't know. Anyway, thank you for watching. Remember, think big, take action, keep pushing, and have a great rest of the week. Enjoy the sunshine. I surely will be. Take care.